This is episode 53 of the Marshall Street Podcast.
You're listening to the Marshall Street Podcast, the home of music industry know-how that will give you the skills to take your career to the next level. Here are your hosts, Bennett Ferguson and Stu Watts.
Welcome to the Marshall Street Podcast.
We got a guest today, obviously.
Yeah.
Mr. Bass.
James Bassy from Between You and Me.
That's my name, and yes, that's me.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome. Awesome to have you here.
Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah. The spur of the moment guest. This is what happens when you rock up as we're about to film a podcast. So for those who may not be familiar, do you want to give everyone a quick rundown on yourself, the band, introduction?
So my name is Bassy. I play bass in a rock and roll band called Between You and Me. We have been together for about 5 years now, signed to Hopeless Records, and we just put out our second full length.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah, you did.
Yep. Which fucking banged.
Recorded at Marshall Street Studios.
Right here in this very room.
In this very room.
Triple J album of the week as well.
Yep.
That was pretty cool.
Nothing to sniff at.
Hoping to land a track in the hottest 100 this weekend as well.
Don't want to get my hopes too high. I might die if we don't get in, but it'll be cool.
It'll be fucking sick anyway. So let's just talk about the band. Let's take it back. What's the story? How did the band come about, and how did you find yourself in the band?
So the band started with the twins, Chris and Jamie. They started playing music in Bateman's Bay where they grew up, and then I guess they needed to move down to Melbourne to find more people because they ran out of people to play with in Bateman's Bay. So they were
All 5 people.
yeah, they were doing it in Melbourne for a bit. Went through a few singers, and then they found JT on YouTube. Messaged him, and he lived in Melbourne. Then they ended up asking him to be in the band, and I was playing in many other bands during this whole time, but I'd bumped into him randomly. The band me and Stu used to play in together. The Spins that were practicing at the same place as them.
Really?
They were playing at your space one time. They were practicing at your space, and Joel was trying out to be the singer.
Yeah. There you go.
When it was just the twins, or was JT in at this point?
This was before JT.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then, so I was playing in bands, and then the band I was playing at the time stopped playing, Sideline stopped. And Jai had, this is a funny story. So our singer in Sidelines was leaving, and we were like, let's find a new singer. And we found JT on YouTube, and we messaged him to ask him to be in our band. So we were trying to poach him, and then our band eventually just fell apart. So Jai ended up going to play guitar, or tried out to play guitar in Between You and Me, ended up joining. And then they wrote a few songs and recorded them, and they were going to go on a tour, and they asked me to just fill in for the tour. And I was such a sick cunt that they asked me to stay.
Nice. Where was the first tour?
Just Australian support tour. We just supported one of our friends' bands, Undercast from Sydney, who the producer of their music, or the guy that mixed their album, was Sam, or their EPs was Sam.
Really? No
So
shit.
Going
I didn't
Full
know
Circle
that.
came and mixed or did our record.
What's that track? Get Out or what?
Let Go?
Yeah, that's a tune.
Yeah,
and
so
a half.
he did like all the newer stuff.
Yeah, man.
No, he did he mixed the first EP
didn't know that,
up until, I think he mixed all of their
That's a
stuff.
tune and a half.
Yeah.
I love that track.
So then we did that tour as just like Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, Coffs Harbour and Brisbane.
That's pretty sweet. Now, you played in bands before, like to join a band and then straight off the bat, did you even have like original tracks out?
In Between You and Me?
EP?
Yeah, we had we had put out one track
Okay.
by that time.
Like to go straight onto a national tour, did you have that feeling like, okay, fuck, this might be something different than the band you start with your mates in the garage and you do it for fucking 8 months before anyone knows you're a band?
Oh yeah, it was such a different experience because by that time I was like 27, 26. And I was like, music's like, I'd been trying to make it in bands since I was like 16. And I was like, I'm not going to try and I'm just going to write music for fun, have a good time. And then I started writing my own stuff. And then they just needed a bass player to fill in. So I was like, cool, I'll go do this thing, learn the songs. I like Jai. It would be fun. And like me and Jai weren't like super close friends, but we just knew each other through music. And then I went to the practice, remembered the Jamie's drum kit from that one time that we saw them jamming at your space. And I was like, I've met you guys before. And then we started talking, learned the 5 or 6 songs that they played, thought they were pretty fun. Went on tour, and I remember like none of the they hadn't really like played like a pop punk show before. So they all, except me and Jai. So me and Jai were like moving around, and then JT was just standing there. Like he just like, his first ever band, cap down, like right down to here, just standing there, just like singing the songs, and then walks off stage. And then that was it. And I was just like, you guys need to move, like have some fun. You're fucking playing like the funnest type of music. You guys need to move around. And then eventually, like by the end of that tour, me and JT just like got along. And
did you start to ramp it up like pretty much immediately? Like after that tour, was it like, we got to get our shit together?
So I didn't know this at the time, but they had already been like that song that they'd put out, Cavalier, had already, like Hopeless had already heard that.
Right.
So I went on the tour or whatever, and then like they asked me to join the band, and a week later we'll have like a Skype call with Tobin from Hopeless, which was really weird for me because like you grind for so long.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen to everyone, like especially like a massive difference in story with JT's his first ever band he's ever been in.
Yeah.
And this is
And
probably
how
like
old was he then? He was super young.
19 or
18, 19?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then they're like 27, been in like 50 bands before that. Like literally played in like as many bands as I could just to, because you never know.
do it,
You just never know.
It's fun.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and then been in the band ever since, I guess.
So then what did that look like from then? Was it like more kind of focused effort at band practices and stuff like that? Was there a lot more focus, or was it kind of just like winging it as you went?
There was, because when we started, they already had a manager. And that was, I'd never been in a band with a manager before. So like that was already a massive difference. And then there was, and he was also like a booking agent as well.
What were the differences?
In like between band, like so there's someone
having a
else.
manager, yeah.
There's someone else like that didn't have to focus on writing the songs and stuff. That was going, I've pitched you for this, I've pitched you for that.
Yep.
Instead of you, like the hard part about being like solely independent is like you write the music and you're like, sick. It's not the end of your job. You got to like email it out, like message people, like sell yourself. So it's really the best thing about having a manager is like you don't have to do that part. Then that's why you pay people, unless you don't have the money to pay someone. You have to like learn to do it yourself. But that was always a nice thing. Like, and he was like bringing bands over, like booking his own tours, and then it was really helpful for us to grow. He'd like put us on as opening for a lot of those shows. And we played to a lot of people really quickly, really small. So within the first year, the first year of me being in a band, I think we had done 2 full national tours and a bunch of like Melbourne support shows. And then the first big, so we did like With Confidence was our first big Australian tour, and that basically we did an EP launch in Melbourne following that tour, and we sold it.
That was when they were at the height.
Yeah, that was like they were literally like
killing it.
right before they hit the pinnacle. Like they were massive, like sold out shows, 800 cap sold out shows, like whole tour. And we're opening, and all of their fans get there really early, so we got a lot of gained a lot from those tours.
Yeah, mad. Even like comparing it to, I guess, the old bands. Actually, well, let's backtrack. By playing in all the bands you did and kind of jumping at every opportunity, because you guys played in a band together, didn't you? You and Spin Set? Yep. Do you think...
That was probably the start of my pop punk journey. Like, if it wasn't for the Spin Set, I probably wouldn't be here.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting stepping stone.
If it wasn't for the Spin Set, I wouldn't have met Jai, and then I wouldn't be here.
True.
And Spin Set, we worked hard.
We did a lot of...
We did really hard.
It was probably like the hardest working band I've been in, probably to this day.
Yep.
Like a lot of stuff. We just practiced every week, wrote,
Same.
went out and
even
like...
Playbook, I didn't work as hard. Nowhere near as hard. I mean, I
definitely don't work as hard today.
Well, how much of those early days and playing the early bands do you think, has given you, I guess, an insight, one, what to expect, but also how much to put in and what's realistic from bands?
Yeah. Well, I guess the first bands I played in were like out of high school, and I didn't even know how to like book a show or anything. I didn't even know how shows happened. Like I didn't even know how you got, like when I first started, I didn't even know how you got asked to play a show. And then I eventually like found out you needed to email a booking person at a venue.
Yep.
So then I started doing that. And then when I joined the Spin Set, I had that backing, like doing it yourself. So when I came, it wasn't just coming into the band as a bass player that was filling a spot in their band. I was like, we can book shows as well. I can do this thing.
You had that. You had some knowledge.
Because you actually were doing most of that for us for Spin Set. Like, and you were really good at it. I like still to this day, I'm like, you could be a booking agent easily. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I found it really fun because like we were in the room writing all these cool songs, and we needed to go play them to people so we could. Even we just wanted to go to a venue to play them.
Yep.
So like I was like, the only way we're going to do it, no one else is doing it for us. I emailed a few people to like manage us or whatever, but we never got anything back. So I was just like, fuck, we'll just do it ourselves, I guess.
Yeah.
And because you and Trav were doing the bulk of the writing, like we were there outside of practice, you guys were doing the bulk of the writing, we would come in. I was like, I need something to do in the band. So that's what I brought to the table. Coming into Between You and Me is like a massive load off because I literally came in as like a fill-in. And then, like, there was a manager. The guys had written all the songs. So I was just like, sick. I'm just coming to the party. Like, but like, I guess all the work. The only reason that Jai really asked me to do it is because we played in the band together. I did some booking for in Sidelines.
Yeah.
And it was like, this guy can pull his weight, I guess.
And I think obviously what you also brought to that is the experience on stage.
Yeah.
And you know, the you were always the one that would talk and tell jokes and stuff on stage as well. I mean, we all did, but you know, having that experience, that's huge. Like having that stage presence is this kind of, I mean, it comes pretty naturally to you. Like we've all seen you. Anyone that's seen BASSY knows that. But for a lot of people, that's really hard.
Oh, yeah.
That's really hard. It's vulnerable. You got to be vulnerable. You got to let your guard down. You got to kind of not give a shit what people think. You know, that's a huge thing.
It's the hardest part because I've definitely been in a crowd where I've seen people perform and I felt not embarrass them, but you have this feeling in you like, is this
awkwardness.
fake? Like, I hope this isn't fake because like this is really weird if it's fake. But like I remember like the first time I ever got like any kind of praise for just solely performing was in like grade 8. We had like this school battle of the bands. It wasn't really a battle of the bands, it was like a cover competition, right? So like each house would like play 2 songs and then like it was part of like the points for the end of the year for your team. And I was playing in this band and I was younger than everyone in the band, but it was like the first time I got recruited to just play bass because I play guitar, but they didn't have a bass player. So I was like, oh, fucking play. I want to play in the band. I hadn't played in the band, but I just want to play in the band. So I get on stage and we played this like, I don't know, I can't remember what song it was, but like there was like this heavy bit in the song. And like no one was moving. And I was like, every time you watch videos on music videos or whatever on MTV or whatever we were watching back in the day, everyone was going nuts. And I'm like, this is my like 5 minutes to like live my fucking dream.
This is my time.
And I just went absolutely apeshit. Like I didn't go that crazy. I was like, did a couple jumps and like fucking moved around where everyone else was like playing their guitars. And then we lost, but the only compliment we got was like that bassist made bass playing look really cool. And that has like lived with me forever. Like if the like, not the least thing you could do, but like, the smallest thing you could do is make it look fun.
Yep.
And I just basically rode that coattail my whole life. So it's like, as long as like bass is not that hard to do, especially in pop punk, it's mainly root notes. But if you fucking jump around.
Are you listening?
This just reminds me, have you seen that video Mark Hoppus
That's what I was just thinking, like
when he's teaching other bassists, he's got like the room of bassists and he's like, now guys, you got to look like you're enjoying yourself on stage. You'll have plenty of time to talk to the drummer while the lead singer's getting laid after the show. You know, you don't need to turn around and talk to your drummer mid-set. Face the crowd.
You don't practice your whole life to like not have fun. So
Absolutely. You got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of shows, let's talk about fucking what's coming up.
Going to America.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Going to America.
You were meant to have a Australia fucking lap.
Yeah, it looks like because everything's changing. Looks like we're probably going to have to postpone that.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll do it again, probably later in the year when everything fucking sorts itself out.
And then
as everyone else is.
as pretty much every other band, artist, and DJ in the fucking Victoria, New South Wales is currently in the same boat.
We would tour if we were allowed into other states, but and we don't want to play to like sit down rooms. Like it would be cool, but like we're not a band that plays to sit down.
Yeah.
Like plays a sit down show.
Know your audience,
Yeah, exactly.
So it's North America, Canada tour.
North America, Canada. Like I think it's the longest one we've done. 5 weeks.
Nice.
The bands they're playing with.
So we're going back on tour with Bearing. It's their headliner, main support. They were like the first band we became friends with when we first went overseas. We toured with them as well. They were also supporting on that tour. And then Young Culture, which is a band from Albany. We just like found them online. They've been like slowly coming up in the scene. They're making waves now. And a band called Jail Socks, which I still haven't listened to. So that'll be fun. I like listening to bands that I haven't heard before live for the first time. It's just like, it's a different story seeing the band live.
Totally.
'Cause you can hear a record and it sounds cool, but like that live experience, you'll hear songs that they like to play.
Yep.
And that's the cool part about it.
Yep. First time I heard Bearings was live. I hadn't listened to him before that tour. And I came back and I was blasting them here.
You were relentlessly.
Months after.
Yeah, fucking oath. Yeah, I totally agree. Seeing a band live first, especially not like if you haven't heard anything about them, so you've got no kind of preconceived ideas or like little biases because of who told you about the band or something.
Yeah, exactly.
If you just go into like, sweet, what is this music? And then how are they performing it? Because like even Doug on stage, it's funny, when I first come back, Stu's like, this isn't the sort of music you usually listen to. But it was probably from like, you know, watching them live and just seeing them every night where you're like, I get it, like this is fucking sick.
You usually like really poppy pop punk, like supremely catchy. Even to the Kid Laroi is side of the pop angle. That's kind of your thing. So it's like listening to Bearings, which is a little bit deeper and it's just slightly different. But yeah.
Yeah, they were fucking sick though.
So what you know, obviously not having to organize as much now. What do you have to organize for tour? What do you have to be prepared for? How do you prepare yourself for it?
So now I'm way underprepared. We haven't played a show in like 900 days or no, not 900, 800 days or something.
Really?
Something ridiculous. Like since it was March, maybe 700. March
Like 14, 15.
14th, 2020 was our last time we played in a room together. And I haven't played bass since the last note of the album. And I need to learn the songs. So I have 5 weeks till we're in America.
Wait, this is funny because I think a lot of people that hear that are like, "What? How do you not know your own songs?" But when you're recording an album and you're writing the songs in the studio, it's a completely different thing.
You
And,
come
like,
up
you
with
have to read-
you come up with riffs on the fly, and you're like, "That sounds sick," and then you only have to play it good once, and then it's fucking out of your head.
Yeah.
But
Which even, just for everyone listening, there was 1 or 2 days during recording, and even that was a struggle, was it not?
I'll say a few hours, not days. A few hours.
A few hours.
Sam was not a
Fuck,
happy
that was
chappy.
some of
man.
the funniest
No, I gave him some words, told him
some
to
of
pipe
the
down.
funniest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah, I do like to overindulge sometimes.
So what else do you have to
find
get?
your muse?
So you got to learn the songs.
Yeah, so I'll learn the set list. I'll probably learn all the album songs. I was watching like a set from the last time we were in America, and I was just like, how do I even play these songs? How did I even remember how to play them? So that's going to be one of the things. We're currently like building a in-ear rig, so that's going to be another learning curve
Sweet.
to throw into our
That'll be good.
into our backline, because normally we're just a plug and play band, but now we're trying to streamline
backing
everything, and it's just easier for touring and our
I
backing
mean,
tracks.
Jake's already an amazing singer, so I can't even predict how good he's going to get.
But
with
the hard thing
in-ears
is
and stuff.
like we all live like me and Jai still live in Melbourne, but the twins live in Batemans Bay and Jake lives in Sydney, so we need a plan. It's not as easy for us to practice together, and now that we're throwing in another piece of equipment that we need to dial in, we only have like really 2 weekends where we can dial it in before we fly over. So that's one thing we need to prepare. Learn the songs, learn how to play with the new gear.
Yep. Get all the new gear set up, like build it and have it the way everyone's comfortable with.
Yeah.
Which takes time.
And I got to go finalize my visa in like I got to mail it tomorrow, because they're only doing face-to-face interviews on Thursdays and they're booked out till July. So we have to mail it in. So I got to mail my passport. Hope I get it back.
I think one thing that would be interesting to hear is like how the perception of being in a touring band, being on a label and stuff, how the perception of that is when you see it, but when compared to like how you live it.
So like growing up, getting signed was the be all end all of being a band. Like once you get signed, you're living large.
They give you the keys to the mansion.
Exactly.
Tour buses.
Exactly. Tour buses and all that. And he's nothing like that. It's like being like, so you start in the local scene, you break through all the bands, you finally make it where someone sees you and they put you on their label. And you get to that label and there's another million bands that are signed to a label, all trying to break through to the next level. And then you get to that next level and you can try and break through to the other level and try and be like the biggest band in the world or whatever. So you still got to grind basically just as much. It might seem like opportunities come easier, but every tour that we've ever gotten, I don't think have ever come where someone's like, I want you to come on tour with us, or I want to put you on this tour. It's more like the band heard our record and we're like, we want to tour with that band. It's the only way we've really gotten the tour. So just by making friends, and the reason we're going back to America is because we're such good friends with Bearings that they wanted to bring us back on tour. And that's basically all of our international shows have just come from friends or people that have liked our band, not like booking agents or labels wanting to bring
the
us.
doors aren't who you'd think.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like everyone's coming to ask you to play overseas.
Yeah.
It's still a grind. It's just like in a local show, like why you put out a cool song one week, why isn't everyone asking us to come play that song? It's the same thing. Getting signed, like the best part about getting signed, I guess, is you don't have to front any money to record. But in saying that, you are fronting the money because eventually you're going to have to pay that back.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't understand is like how it's paid back before getting into it. Like, so our split is not very good. So like Hopeless own a lot of our royalties or whatever, but we only pay back the amount from our small amount that we make off royalties. And you don't make your royalty until you've paid back your loan.
Yeah.
And that loan, like they give you 20 grand, that every dollar on that is actually not $1 to $1. It's $1 to $7.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So you're paying back $160K for borrowing 20K, something like that.
That's crazy.
That's bananas.
It is crazy.
That's messed up.
I mean, my math isn't good, but it's some big number.
Yeah. And then like with like touring, like a peek behind the curtain of touring, like how does that differ to how you thought it was when you're younger?
Touring is just the touring and like being on the road is exactly how I thought it would be. It's just as fun,
Beautiful.
just as fun, just as like grueling as I thought it would be for sure. We've been pretty lucky going overseas. When we were looking at like getting a van or whatever, Jai stumbled across this RV company that had really good deals for Australians. So you'd hire an RV and they give you unlimited kilometers.
Sick.
So that was cheaper for us to do that than hire a van with a trailer and pay for accommodation and fuel every night. It's just like worked out cheaper. So it's not really luxury like after you've done it, but like for us touring in Australia in just a van and sleeping on people's floors, we get to like have a tour bus or whatever.
I think with that as well, like the trailer thing, that's a lot more appealing to thieves as well.
Yeah.
Like you hear a lot of stories about trailers.
A lot of bands that we've been on tour with have not been broken into on those tours, but like have been broken into previously. And like we'd roll into like cities and they'd be like, be careful of your shit because our trailer's been stolen here like 3 times.
Yeah.
No shit.
We're like, why do you keep coming back to the city?
Yeah.
New trailer, same car park.
Which is like a crazy thing like to think of in Australia. Like you play like 7 shows or whatever.
Yeah.
Drive everywhere. I don't think I've ever had gear stolen that wasn't like after band practice in my car kind of thing.
Yeah.
But over there, it is different in that like the touring circuit is pretty laid out and everyone knows what markets people are playing. And they know if they see like a van with a trailer roll through, like people would know what it is.
And they know the venue. The venue is like a rock venue.
Yeah.
So and like every rock venue we played is in like the sketchiest part of town.
It doesn't really take a genius to put 2 and 2 together and then also realize, well, one, if it's fucking 4 a.m, the band's probably sleeping and they probably got shit faced the night before. Like you could probably jack a trailer that they're not sleeping in. Like
one thing I did find funny is like we had a conversation on the tour that you came on with us. It was like the first show, and in my mind, like we were living the life. We were on tour, blah, blah, blah. And you come to me and go, so they only gave you 6 beers for the night. And I'm like, yeah. And you're like, what do you mean? You're like, your rider's like a case of beer and like this. And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about that. That doesn't happen here. You're like, what are you fucking talking about? It's like, if this happened in hip hop, this show would not be happening. Like if you don't get everything you asked for, you just fucking walk out the door and never come back. And I'm like, that doesn't happen here. Like it's like completely opposite. It's like you're privileged to be able to go to the venue and play. It's not like the venue's like we're privileged to have you, kind of thing.
Which it was funny just because I just got like your tech rider and then your hospitality rider, and then it's like obviously every bar is going to be different in states. Like the type of beer is going to be different or something, but like the amount, you're just like, hey man, there's a bottle of this and a slab of this beers and like this is what it is. And then got there right and they're like, we got a 6-pack and like this doesn't add up.
I remember, you told me.
Did you say something to him?
No.
Yeah, you did. You went, the
Oh,
first
did I?
night you went and talked to like the head TM of the tour, and the guy just goes, "Yeah, you're not going to get any of that." We were just like, "You just got to suck it up, I guess." And it was just like, because we had done it twice already before you came. We were just like, "Yeah, it's fun."
Yeah.
Which is really funny, like the difference back on tour, and like the difference between countries you go to, or like you go to America, or you go to Europe, and like Europe is completely the opposite. Like you are like a king touring in Europe. Like you walk into the venue and they're like, "See that beer? That fridge is full of beer. If you run out, we'll refill it. There's all this food here. You ask for vegan options, so like these are all like vegan meats and whatever. Make sandwiches. There's a sandwich press, blah blah blah. And if you guys don't like this, here's €10 to go get whatever you want."
Oh man.
And we did that, roll into every venue, and that they give that to us.
No
That's
shit.
sick. Yeah,
that's
sick.
awesome.
Which is awesome, because like touring, like coming from playing in so many bands, especially for me, like I take, like if someone gave me like a packet of chips, I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, let's go." Like someone gives me 6 beers, I'm so stoked. But like you like getting to this level, like it is like a privilege to be able to go overseas, and like getting that, it's like not finally it's paid off, but I'm like, I'm glad I stuck with this, because like it's a small gift to get, but like the work's kind of been worth it.
100%.
Yep.
Actually, one thing I want to ask is, how has the set changed? Because you guys you'd put out a single, but other than that, you were pretty much touring off the last album for like 2 years or so.
Yeah.
So obviously did that set change at all during that period? And then what does it look like now after you've got a fucking new record out that is crushing it? Like what's the what does the set look like now? Is it still old stuff?
There's gonna be maybe a couple of old stuff, but I think it's mainly going to be new stuff. We played those songs for 3 years.
Yeah.
Like we played America 3 times and played those songs 3 times. And if you didn't come and see us,
You missed it.
too bad.
What about Dakota? If the fans want Dakota,
I
you
think Dakota's like
That has to be on there.
whatever the biggest song is in the world. It's like Creed's Arms Wide Open. You got to pay to read it.
you gotta give the fans what they want.
Arms wide open.
Yeah, so you'll give the fans what they want.
Some fans. Yeah,
Yep.
some fans.
Yeah.
Like, if you like the old stuff, like I'm sure you like something that's in the new songs, and we're probably playing those songs. Like we worked hard on this record, and we want to play these songs. So if we played the last record, which we put in a lot of work to, but we've played that for 3 years. We're not just going to go and play like all the old songs.
Same set again.
One more set. Yeah, same songs again.
Leave that for the 10-year reunion show.
Yeah,
like.
True.
Yeah, we're talking about set lists, and it's going to be a lot of like obviously probably all the singles that we have, because we're playing a support set. It's going to be like all the new singles, Dakota, and then like whatever other songs we can fit in.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Nice.
If you're smart and you look at bands, you'll know what songs they're pretty much going to play, unless it's a headline set.
Yeah.
Because we're for the Australian headliner, it was like we're going to play basically all of the new songs, and then whatever else we want to play. Jake doesn't want to play any of the old songs because he's sick of singing it for fucking 4 years. But it was funny, like looking at stream numbers last night. I like looked through at this album streams, and every song is basically beating the last album, which has been out for 4 years.
No shit.
Like it's not actually beat it, but like the projection, it's gonna like beat
Yep.
it within like a few months.
Well, your monthlies
that's what
fucking
you'd hope for.
skyrocketed after the album dropped.
Yeah.
Monthlies jumped up to like $250,000 now, like 250,000.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there pretty consistently.
Which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty awesome to look at.
Nice. Any last shout outs or anything like that?
Where can people find you if you want to promote the fucking tour to anyone in America?
Find us on Instagram, BYAM Oz. It's basically where we post everything, or same on Twitter, same on every social, BYAM.
BYAM.
BYAM Oz, or byamoz.com. We have a website now, which is cool. Websites aren't as popular as they used to be, but we decided to make one to feel legit because we're all old. And TikTok. We're on TikTok, but we make shit videos. So
If you're
Nice.
interested in shit videos,
Check
follow
them
on
out.
TikTok.
check them out.
Well, Bassy,
We'll be in
thank you very
America.
much for
Yeah.
joining us.
We'll be in
Well,
America.
firstly-
When is it? March 3rd to April 9th.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Full North America, finishing in Canada.
That's the one.
So if you're in any of the cities, check out the Bearings Instagram, check out the Biome Instagram, check out the dates for cities. If you're in it, make sure you fucking check it out. The shows are going to be mad. Bearings just got off a dope fucking Hopeless tour. Oh, no, sorry, Pure Noise tour. They're not on Hopeless. But they've played a bunch of shows in the last like 3 months, so they are fucking stage ready. You guys are going to crush it fucking regardless if you're stage
If
ready
you
or
don't
not.
disregard everything I've said, we're going to sound good.
You're going to have fun. I can guarantee you that. Check them out. Listen to their tunes. Thank you very much for rocking up this morning and then jumping on the podcast.
That's it.
As
Thanks, bro.
always, if you've enjoyed this, make sure to like it, share it with a fucking friend. And we will catch you next time on the Marshall Street Podcast.
See you later.
Peace.